Hello folks, Phil Gallagher, aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video. Today we're going to be playing with some Maverick, courtesy of an anonymous donor. So if you're not a longtime Legacy player, might not be super familiar with Maverick because it's a deck that kind of fell off the face of the earth when the initiative was around. It just kind of got power crept out of the format, and now it's starting to come back a little bit. So Maverick refers to a green-white base deck that usually plays some kind of mana dorks to accelerate out good mid-range cards like Knight of the Reliquary, and historically it's been supported by strong 2-drops like Thalia, Guardian of Thraben as sort of one of your anti-combo pieces, and the deck often plays a Stoneforge Mystic package as well, although this one doesn't do that. When you're playing a Maverick deck, Wasteland is a very critical part of your plan, and more generally, mana is one of the big things that's kind of on the table that you're trying to control. You are trying to get ahead of your opponent in terms of mana with things like Noble Hierarch or using a Green Sun Zenith to go and find your Dryad Arbor so that you can start playing 3-drop threats. And a lot of times, Knight of the Reliquary will just turn into a wasteland machine, sacrificing your lands while growing the Knight to get wastelands and go on this mana denial plan. And you can even recycle this stuff as well. So essentially, we're an Abzan mid-range deck with decent tutor options. And this is a Fiend Artisan build of Maverick. Fiend Artisan has been seeing a lot more legacy play recently. It started out in the Newton Elves Decklist and has kind of branched out from there into other archetypes. One of the cool things that it does here is Knight of the Reliquary traditionally is like the fat of the Maverick decklist. And this gives you another piece of fat, like another thing that realistically will live through red removal, like Lightning Bolt in the end game, while also giving you access to your assorted silver bullets that can potentially win the game on its own. And while something like Green Sun can find the green ones, Fiend Artisan can find everything. And Fiend Artisan happens to work particularly well with Grist. We do have an initiative creature that we can search up, so that's some nice utility. Most of the stuff that's over here in the sideboard is pretty stock. For those of you not at the forefront of Legacy here, the Gaia's Blessing is in the deck list because of Painter. If they mill you out, guess what? When this is put into your graveyard, you shuffle your graveyard into your library. So, unless you draw it, you have a really nice insurance, like safety valve versus Painter. Final thing that I want to play here. This was Dneely's, I believe it says 4th place here, but that's just the standings from the Swiss. This was a 1st place Legacy Challenge winning deck list. So like, let's see how this feels in action. We have a little bit of potential card draw in Esper Sentinel. We have a very good number of turn 1 plays, great mid-range elements. I'm hoping this deck feels good. Like Maverick and Death and Taxes style decks are very near and dear to my heart. Alright, if you're new here and you like what you see today, please consider subscribing for more, and if you're a regular, throw me a like before this video begins. It is the easiest way to support my content for free. Let's battle. Okay, I have kept my opening hand here. I think I am still going to fetch Savannah over Basic Forest. I'm already going to be Wastelandable. The only way this is going to feel bad is if Noble Hierarch is countered and then Savannah is Wastelanded as a follow-up. But I just need access to multiple colors of mana here. I believe my sequencing here is cast Thalia first before this Noble Hierarch. And that forces any sort of brainstorm stuff and should keep something like a Daze from countering my Thalia. And then if Thalia resolves, I can play a Noble Hierarch around a Daze. I don't know that we're playing against a Daze deck. It's possible. Snow-covered island can mean a lot of different things. All right, force. Pitching a Force of Negation. Do a second Noble Hierarch here. We're still going to need a little bit more information before we know what our opponent is playing. My guess is that like we're leaning closer to control than not, just based on seeing the force of negation going to exile here. I have a lot of really good plays this turn. The top card of my opponent's library is random. My opponent just used a Force of Will. So while they can have a second, it's not super likely. I think I'm just going to try to become the pretty princess here. That way, that way if I do end up eating a board wipe eventually, I still have a source of card advantage afterwards. And I have the... Oh. Yeah, honestly, that's fair. I'm going to assume that I am playing against a control deck. Wrist is reasonable in that case. Opposition Agent and Endurances are okay. I might just generically play a Knight of Autumn. I don't know what it does as of right now, but my opponent probably has some bullshit enchantment that I won't like. I'm going to cut Collector Oof. I'm going to cut Plague Engineer as starting points for sure. I will probably go down a Swords. I don't know that I want to go down too much on that because there's a possibility that I could just be playing against a Stoneblade deck. This gets me 3 cards. Would probably be these, and then I can think about whether Endurance is better than something else. Not knowing like fully whether or not I'm facing down something like Stoneblade or something like a Terminus-based, Supreme Verdict-based control deck list here is a little rough. Like, I don't know if I need to be planning for Snapcaster Mages. I don't know whether or not this card is actually reasonable or whether I should just cut it. The Knight of Autumn, if I'm wrong, is still just a 4-power attacker, whereas Outland Liberator, if I'm wrong, is basically unplayable on a board like this. No. No, this is 6 mana sources. Oh, I forgot I had Cradle in here. This is fine. The presence or absence of Terminus is a big deal for whether or not this card is good. In the dark here, I'm going to throw back the Swords to Plowshares. And it's just really awkward if my opponent plays a turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic. Esper Sentinel is quite cool here. Getting Savannah. Then it's just like, which of these do I play? I think I play Esper Sentinel. It's better versus Swords to Plowshares. Okay. Alright. No immediate turn 2 Stoneforge. Cool for me. Probably playing against Bant Control from the look of it. Drop Cradle. 2 mana. Get a Fiend Artisan going. Alright, now my opponent is... Oh, they're actually swordsing the Fiend Artisan. That's fine. I will gain my 1. And I did this pre-combat to make sure that I got my bonus mana out of Gaia's Cradle. So next turn I'll have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 mana. I can do a Green Sun for X's 4. Which is pretty hot. Yeah, the... Am I playing against board wipes is big question here. And whether or not I extend this card further is kind of a big deal. But I just don't know based on what I've seen. Alright. I can get the Questing Beast and go aggro. But I think I'm just supposed to take the initiative here. Grab a Forest. Attack in for 3. Opponent goes to 14. Alright. That allows my opponent to take the initiative back, but if they take the initiative back with that, they're not blocking with that. Is a thing. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with my Undercity trigger. I draw my card with this now. Yeah. Got plenty of mana with Gaia's Cradle. Cool. I think I awkwardly attack with both of these. Yeah, and that's exactly why. Okay, so my opponent is going to take the hit here. I believe that I still forge and put the counters on Esper Sentinel. It's very annoying unless my opponent has like Swords to Plowshares right here, which we've dodged after they pay the tax. So I've already made my land drop. I think I'm very soft to a board wipe. I'm going to keep leaning in because, like, my opponent can just take initiative, trade some bodies, or use some removal, and I'm in trouble if I don't keep committing to the board. Yeah, this is fine. We'll see what they do with this. Alright, they're going to forge up the untapped Ice Fang. Wow. Hate endangering this in combat, but I don't really think I have any choice about it. Yeah. This is still a lot of pressure, but we're at the point in the game where a lot of things can go wrong for me. Right, we've got one block. My opponent needs something else or they are dead. Alright, it is a Swords on Esper Sentinel. Paying the tax. So this is going to leave them taking 3 damage. I will trap them to 2. And I have a sneaky little surprise Dryad Arbor. That's going to end up coming in a little bit later. End of turn Brainstorm, end of turn Brainstorm, sure. Burrow's life gain would be annoying here. I've got the body covered, but I very much do not have the life gain covered as of right now. Alright, my opponent doesn't get to, like, fetch to clear this. Okay, they get a secondary Ponder. The first one did shuffle. Second one doesn't shuffle. Wow. I am surprised about this because I have the onboard Dryad Arbor. So, like, 1 blocker or 1 endurance, for example, is just not good enough right now. We'll see if my opponent killed themselves. They're going to need, like, endurance plus Swords to Plowshares or something like that. Another Hope Noble Hierarch is not good. Show me 2 pieces of interaction. Okay, that's what I thought. GG's. Okay, opening hand here is solid. I have a choice for what to lead on, and it's a little tough. Always getting Savannah. I think I am just going to lead on Esper Sentinel with the hopes of playing Noble Hierarch and Wasteland on my own turn as sort of my predominant plan. Oh, that's interesting. I think this is a Noble Hierarch turn. Playing the Wasteland out ahead of time to play around days and get in extra damage with the Esper Sentinel attack. Alright, it is in play. Means that I get to battle in for 2. And my opponent's not playing anything cool this turn. And I can ultimately follow this up with Thalia, which will be strong. Tarmogoyf is fine. I will probably end up wastelanding their tropical island. Ooh. That's uncounterable initiative there. I don't think I need to do that yet. Like, it is very, very, very tempting to do so. But I don't think I need to do that. Go ahead and play a Thalia. Guess I should have attacked for the 2 first. Endurance is cool. I also think I preemptively fetched to play around Stifle. Missed 2 points of damage by not attacking first. I was thinking about holding back because of the initiative, and then I pivoted. So that's an error on my end. Sure. Alright, are you paying the tax or do I get cards? That's fine. Okay, Tarmogoyf is on defensive duty. Great for me. It's very awkward that I drew both of these dead cards. Turn's a little tough to play. I think I want to do it like this. I think I always want to destroy this land. And then I think I want to sorcery speed, play endurance. If this works, this takes out my opponent's entire graveyard while not giving them the ability to daze a volcanic island back to their hand, which is something that I care about a lot. I just want to fully deny that mana. Like, it sucks that my opponent had the daze, but I think it's a lot worse for me if I don't destroy that volcanic island. Undermountain Adventurer is currently a bit awkward. I'll live with it. Play the Outland Liberator, since that one can scale up. I'm still attacking for 3 per turn cycle, and I can get to the point where I just block Tarmogoyf a couple of times to hold initiative, especially if my opponent doesn't draw another land. My opponent's back on the defensive. Means that this transforms. I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 5 total mana for this turn cycle. 6 if I play Undermountain Adventurer. I think I am now doing. This is played around days, and if it resolves, I also get 2 Thalia. Okay. Paying the tax. Alright, that is a Force of Will pitching a Brainstorm. I think I go ahead and take the attack for 5. Tarmogoyf is... I have to stack these, I see. Tarmogoyf is a 4/5, so my creature lines up favorably in combat with it, at least for now. Alright, more cantrips. Are we at the point where I get cards? We are at the point where I just get cards. That was a fast shuffle. Sure. 5 is a bit of a scary number here. Alright, are you attacking? No. So this shrinks. It's not actually great for me. I'm gonna attempt to go wide for the final points of damage here. No good attack. Alright, my opponent is chilling defensively. I think I am supposed to fetch Dryad Arbor here. Now this flips. If I attack, these 2 are blocked. I have 4 damage in, which is not lethal. I think I am fine trading a Trap Breaker or a Tarmogoyf and then having better go wide attacks next turn. Alright, bam. That's up to a 5/5 after Exalted. Yep, double block was expected. That's fine. Goodbye. Then I will drop a Knight, which will outclass Goyf. Negative, my opponent's last 2 cards are forces. So the Thalia tax has been paid. Let's see. Block into theoretical lethal with my attack next turn if my opponent does not have Lightning Bolt or Brazen Borrower. Or you can just do that. It's just significantly safer. Okay, good stuff. Was definitely scared of my opponent just playing a very large Murktide Regent and killing me in 2 shots in the air. But we dodged. Okay, so the Collector Oof and the Outland Liberator can GTFO as a starting point here. In theory, what do I want? I need the copy of Endurances. I need the copies of Path to Exile. And then these 3 cards fall into the playable category as well. I guess in theory, my endgame plan is big booty creatures that outsize Tarmogoyf. I'm probably cutting Thalias, I think. I think Thalias and Esper Sentinels are not the direction I want this game to go. Like, I want things that rumble in combat well. And generally speaking, I don't think going on the Mana Denial plan versus Delver is amazing. It's gotten a little bit better since EI is out of the format, but, you know, when your opponent can make a 2-mana 5/5 or larger creature, just trying to stop their mana the entire game is not as good as it used to be. Threats have gotten better. Murktide is dumb. I think I'm happy with this. Possible 3 Thalias are better than 3 Esper Sentinels. But Esper Sentinel is just something that dies, as weird as that sounds, and grows Fiend Artisan. Like, it's just another creature that I can play out early. This is great versus the Wasteland side of the equation. It's a little mana heavy. I think I'm just going to keep it. I never get Wastelanded or Lightning Bolted out of this game. And with this many mana sources, literally any live draw is good. Okay, sure, that's fine. So this is gonna stop my green sources. And that is a reasonable draw despite being a land. My opponent hasn't pondered to stabilize their mana yet. I might need one way to answer this for future games. I'm going to take a turn off to play around days for the entire game. I miss a couple of points of damage over the course of this game for doing that, but given how much mana I have, it feels perfectly fine to not just go turbo in terms of playing my stuff out. Go Forest, Savannah, Ignoble Hierarch, and I don't think I play the second one out here. Just literally blank days all game. Like, this can eat a lightning bolt now. That's fine. Yep. My goal is to... Okay, yeah, that's fine. I'll float my mana. My opponent will let that empty, and then play a creature later if they have it. Long-term, Grist will answer this. Short-term is a bit of a problem, though. I took some time off to play around days. And if my opponent wastelands me again or lightning bolts Hierarch, it's hard for me to do Grist stuff. And this sort of Murktide Regent thing happening is why I'm not super keen on the Wasteland plan versus Delver. Oop, that was a lightning bolt. And I'll eat some damage. So this is off. Be nearly dead here. I think the play is play Plague Engineer this turn. So do I just want to put this on Dragon to take one less damage? Might be relevant. Anyway, I think my plan is play Plague Engineer out with the So Punished for going back on my thought and not just naming fucking human. Alright, Dneely. Okay, I mean, that's not bad. Go ahead and take my attack for 2 and just kind of hope that things go well here. Attempt Grist. Attempt to destroy Murktide Regent. It gets disrupted by Lightning Bolt. Yep, alright. That is probably the end of this game. Yep. Yeah, so now Grist dies. I take 5. I'm dead next turn. I need an answer to Murktide Regent. Oh, cool. Green Sun is off. I can technically maybe live another turn, but I'm comfortable throwing in the towel here. This one's not happening. So do I want some of this stuff to deal with Grafdigger's Cage? Shuts off 4 cards and makes a couple more slightly awkward. Like, neither one of these things lines up super well versus Tarmogoyf, Murktide Regent. Like, that versus Esper Sentinel. Pretty strong on the play. I wonder if I win that game if I don't play around days and just fucking jam. Dryad Arbor in hand is really awkward here. Days is very good against this hand as well. Got swords, though. I think I keep this, but don't play out Verdant Catacombs immediately. Ugh, this Dryad Arbor is super fucking awkward. Alright. Good old Noble Hierarch. Am I getting bolted? Technically, no. Technically, no. This will give me an opportunity to kind of play out the Dryad Arbor without, in theory, playing anything else. But it does mean that I won't hold up Swords to Plowshares for my opponent's turn. It does mean that I just have a land drop here that is lightning boltable, which is not great. The way that I lose this game is not getting to cast these spells. Alright, do you have... Okay, no follow-up bolt, which is really nice. God damn it. That's so fucking brutal. Denies my draw step here. I think basically under no circumstances can I let them untap with a Dragon Rage Channeler and just have all of that selection. Dryad Arbor is very awkward. Alright, they flipped a Brainstorm. We're dead. I do not think that I can realistically win the game from here. Like, I can't Endurance to clear out my opponent's graveyard because I need this Endurance to beat this Delver, but I'm exposing yet another land drop to red removal when my opponent has redraws and, like, selection. So, yeah. Not to mention that, like, Daze is going to be live for answering Endurance as well. Opponent has had 5 more looks for a Lightning Bolt. Can potentially take, like, another 4. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That should do it. At 13 here. I'll fight the good fight. The Dryad Arbor has already been used, so to attempt this one. I can't Endurance again. I need this to block the Delver. Fuck off. Yep. Really? Okay. Alright. Alright. No way. Okay. This hand's a keep. I think I'm gonna lead off on basics this game. It might make multi-spelling more awkward, but I'd like some mana-based stability here. Like, the green-green of this is a little weird, but in theory, I've got green-green plus Swords to Plowshares in the same turn cycle already. Oh? Okay. I don't know exactly what this is gonna look like. More than anything else, double spelling probably matters here. I think I'm going to deploy this and the Fiend Artisan in the same turn cycle. And if I need access to something like a Collector Oof, I will have access to that. And I can Swords to Plowshares without paying my own Thalia tax. Okay. That many plus 1? Okay, sure. Alright. I'm going to attack for 2, I think. With Esper Sentinel. Put my opponent to 18. And play a new Esper Sentinel. Pay the life here. Sacrifice a tapped Esper Sentinel. I think preemptively just get an Outland Liberator. Probably hard to go too wrong with that. What's a flip condition for this? No spells or 2 spells? Okay, there is a Ravager, which starts out as a 3/3. Is be a large creature quickly. No spells during their own turn. Sure. Before my opponent has more creatures, let's just Swords that. We'll go ahead and attack for 3. Putting my opponent to 18. I think I am just going to go ahead and do this. Sacrificing the Esper Sentinel. Pick up a Collector Oof now. I don't know exactly what to expect on the other side of the battlefield. Like, I know the answer is artifact creatures that get +1/+1 counters, but I don't know exactly what all is going to be over there. I know removal is good. Like the Force of Vigor, Knight of Autumn, Path to Exile, maybe Grist is good. I am not sure on Plague Engineer, given what I have seen. Thalia is probably not at her best here. That gets me the first 4 removal spells. I have 2 more removal spells that I can bring in. Guess let's sort this. I could see going down one of the 4 drops, either Undermountain Adventurer or Questing Beast. I'm like, I don't know exactly what my opponent's creatures look like, but it might be pretty easy for them to take back the initiative. I don't know for sure. Kind of a vibe. I don't think I'm ever going to search up Ramunap. I'm going to go ahead and cut that. Ooh. Yeah, I like this hand a lot. Once Upon a Time. 3 of Tails, that's the green artifact land. Okay. I can Force of Vigor as a land destruction spell if I would like. I don't think I'm really interested in that yet. Like, taking out these 2 cards for free isn't exactly insane. Like, it would make my Esper Sentinel better that I'm playing out here. But I think it's better to get 2 choice cards rather than 1 choice card and a Glimmer Wasp. Okay, my opponent is paying the tax. That is fine. Ho, 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 ho. Hangerback Walker. Sure. That occurs. You don't fly. Fortunate for you. Blow up Urza Saga and Mox Opal here. Knight of the Reliquary might actually be easier to cast than Fiend Artisan. I'm going to pitch Fiend Artisan. Fight the utility that card has. If I draw another Wasteland and just cast a Knight. Alright. I think I go full mana denial here, despite the fact that my hand has a bunch of 3-drops. This is also a legendary creature, so I can just bounce it. Bounce that now. Guess I'll let my opponent pay the tax first. And then bounce it. Now they don't have Metalcraft for this turn cycle to start scaling this up. Okay. Fiend Artisan is an awkward draw there. Alright. The Wasp comes back. My opponent can start using their mana to scale up. Hangerback Walker. But the Caracas is doing good work. Yep, that's fine. Alright, fantastic. Fetch land is very, 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 very good here. A Savannah. I want white to exile this card with Palace Jailer. I think I just play Fiend Artisan this turn overnight, though. Playing Fiend Artisan leaves up Caracas for the Glimmer Wasp. And this also just allows me to get Collector Oof next turn if I'd like. Yep. That play makes my Palace Jailer a little worse. Ooh. Yep. Alright. Gotta just eat that damage. Okay. Oh, that's very good. I wish I had one more mana. I think I'm trying to get my opponent to go relatively all in on a Ravager here. And then swords it in the next turn cycle. So let's sack the Sentinel. Opponent should respond. Yep. My opponent gets 2/2/2s. And a bunch of extra counters. Yeah. Okay. I will get the oof to keep that from happening further. I've got swords for the Ravager. Okay, that is just a turn off to cast that spell, which is great for me. Another Hangerback Walker, that's fine. This is more damage than I would like to take, but I'm working towards stability. I need more mana. That is what it is. I don't know what sort of Trixies could happen if I don't go ahead and do this now. Do I just turn Esper Sentinel into Dryad Arbor, actually? Probably do. Yeah. Dryad Arbor. Bash in with Collector Oof. Taking 2 a turn from these Thopters. Do I have an Endurance left in my deck? I think I do. Yeah, I have Endurance in my deck still. I can stop these attacks. Or I can just naturally draw it. Would I trade Collector Oof with Hangerback Walker? No. Is there a world where I would like to Palace Jailer this? I don't think so. I don't know, if I Palace Jailer this now, my opponent doesn't get those Thopters in the future. Monarch thing's weird. I think I might save more life in the long term by exiling this. Those 2 Thopters just never happen. I bash in for 5. Take my extra card. I'm just looking for mana, basically. I will take my 2 in the air. We can trade Monarch back and forth. And the Hangerback Walker comes back with no counters, so it dies. Another Hardened Scales? Yeah, that's fine. I can bounce that out of the way for 1 mana. I need 3 mana for Endurance. 1 mana bounces this. 3 mana for Endurance. 1 mana bounces this. I can Wasteland my opponent off of Savannah as well. Although this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana next turn. Next turn I can double spell if I don't Wasteland my opponent. This takes him off of a removal color. I am supposed to Wasteland. So there's Wasteland. There's Bounce. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Drops my opponent to 10. I become the pretty princess. I've already made my land drop. Okay. Okay. Ancient Tomb's in there. Not particularly surprising. Just something that I hadn't seen yet. Well, I will nuke your graveyard. I don't know if you have any sort of recursion. Take a block. You do become the monarch, dealing me 1 point of damage, but I imagine that you're facing down lethal? Like, especially with Grist around. Alright, there's an Ancient Tomb activation. Or a Walking Ballista. And again, Collector Oof is in play, so that is not nearly as scary as it looks. So, bounce that out of play. Play a land drop. Play a Grist. Okay, yeah, and we've got the match there. What's our record? We're 2-1. Alright, we've got an okay opening hand here that, in theory, can fall apart, but will be very good if I am not interacted with. Getting the turn 1 Dryad Arbor into Gaia's Cradle is just a lot of utility. I assume I'll just play Endurance at the end of my opponent's turn. Things could be scary if we're facing something like Show and Tell. I'm not really ready for that. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, we can work with that. Yeah, that's not disruptive to me. I'm not expecting Wasteland from this deck based on what I am seeing thus far. Go ahead and drop this. Got no real targets for that. We will blow up an Urza Saga. I'll bash for 3. My opponent goes to 17. I'm notably punished for not playing out Gaia's Cradle earlier. Playing against some sort of 8-cast paintery deck list. Fine. Yeah. Probably traditional 8-cast being Chalice here. Let's attempt to clear that graveyard. Nice. There's Outland Liberator that land immediately. Guess I'll play this first. There's an Outland Liberator. There's 4 mana for a Questing Beast. Is absolutely so much damage. Yeah. I think I would have end of combat just destroyed the seat. Force of Vigor is great. Night of Autumn is great. Path Grist, Endurance, Plague Engineer, all cards that I can play. I think this is more of a what don't I want situation. I think because of Psi tokens, I'm less keen on this sort of stuff. I just don't want to lose either of those things, and I think I'm not super interested in Thalia. That's probably 100% these, 100% this, and it starts getting a little more interesting. If I'm willing to cut Esper Sentinels when I'm on the draw, I can do all of this. It leaves me a little fat in terms of curve. I don't need the full 4 endurance. Keep it as an option to help keep Emery in check, but a decent amount of stuff already. I think if I just play 13 3-drops, that's just too much. Oh, Ramunap doesn't need to be a thing here. I like keeping the Questing Beast as my top end for the Green Sun. 3 endurance is fine. This doesn't have mana acceleration that I would really appreciate, but like I'm insulated versus a Psi, and I have removal spells for some other early stuff. Trade 1 for 1? I think I trade 1 for 1 here. Do it on my opponent's upkeep. Take you out, and we'll just go ahead and reset the game. But like, I know I have 3 land drops, and my opponent didn't have anything they could do on a single mana. That's a slightly more valuable land. Okay, sure. 3 mana or Psi. Get Caracased. Maybe get Swordsed now that there's a Thopter in play already. 2 Thopters. I don't think I want to play the whole game just absolutely trying to dance around Psy, giving my opponent extra Thopters. I think I just go for the removal here. Like, it can't be Force of Willed right now. And then 2 turns from now, I just have Plague Engineer to clean up the remaining Thopters. Thought Monitor's good. Free is reasonable. No Thopter attack? That seems like a misclick. I think I will just go ahead and bounce this now. See how many bobbles my opponent goes through at the end of turn. I don't take redraws on both. Would very much like my Plague Engineer to resolve. You're in your upkeep. Okay, there's a Thought Cast. I am definitely falling behind on board here. Chalice is not a problem. Force of Will is the thing that is annoying here. Okay, cool. This can go and get me a Bayou. The game-defining spell right here. Yep. That was going to save me 2 life per turn times the number of turns remaining in the game. Now I have to pivot into, like, hurtling up with Endurance, which I don't love. My opponent has, like, these highly discounted Thought Monitors and Thought Casts that are quite bad for me. Yep. This is a dead draw. I don't think I'm in the market to wasteland my opponent. I think I play that land and sorcery speed endurance so that my opponent doesn't have the opportunity to hard cast Force of Will. This at least forces a pitch cast. Dismember. Yeah. That is very scary for me. My opponent has thwarted both of my ways to try and stabilize the board. I expect that I am just going to lose to the Flyers at this point. Like, Grist isn't going to come down fast enough to save me. Can I let Reliquary do anything? I have a second Plague Engineer. Okay. Play Knight. Play Fiend Artisan. Alright, my opponent's got something else end of turn. Alright, they are Otawara-ing my Knight. Attack cycle leaves me at 1. I don't think I'm getting out of this. For sure. Echoing... Is that Echoing Truth on their Chalice? Oh, I see. To get Shadow Spear. Yeah, and that leaves me dead this turn. Good play. That leaves me dead. I don't know that I'm changing anything about boarding here. 1 more Esper Sentinel is pretty reasonable on the play. Maybe Grist is just slow for this matchup. It leaves me with 10 1-drops. I have a Grist that I can Green Sun for still. Okay. Boy, that's awkward. Going to keep it. This is the sort of hand that's fine against, say, an Emery hand or an Urza's Saga hand, but will be very bad versus just a pile of Thoughtcasts. Yeah, this is fine. Yep. Right? Okay, they are cracking those rather than keeping them around for Urza's Saga. Construct size is A-okay with me. On Scrubland is awkward for that. Still think I'm supposed to lead on Scrubland, though. So I can hold up Swords to Plowshares for turn 1. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, I will be dropping a Noble Hierarch here. I can maybe do some cool things with Plague Engineer on Construct. That requires my opponent to not really have more artifacts. So they did. That's a great draw. I think I do this. Grab Savannah. Actually, do I Knight of Autumn rather than Collector Oof? No, I think I hold up Swords for if this gets countered. Collector Oof is a lot of long-term damage. I don't know, this line is worse versus Dismember. Alright, yep. Grab Collector Oof. Just Swords this now. My opponent the least amount of life possible. Then I think I can clean up constructs here pretty easily. Opponent's got a 2-2. We'll transform into a 3-3. I think Needle on Grist would be annoying. On Fiend Artisan. That's good, but not necessarily the problem here. Yep. Memory is good. This feels like the Dryad Arbor turn. Tempt Grist. Nice. Minus. Back Dryad Arbor. Blow up the construct. Emery's not doing that much if these artifacts are currently off. And I don't want to make this attack. Ooh, that is a sigh. We are prepared for this. I just need to dodge Force of Will. And I don't think my opponent has one. I don't think they had one, or they would have Force of Willed this Grist. So it's just like, did they draw Force for their turn? Path is cool. So I'm going to go ahead and fetch and grab another Savannah before I plus with Grist, because there's only one Savannah left. Okay. Cast Plague Engineer. That will go on Thopter. I don't think I need to Path to Exile anything. I think I save that for like a Kappa Cannoneer or a Construct token or something that's more threatening. Yep. Thought Monitor is quite good. This might be a spot where I now want to destroy Emery, because jump blocks with this are awkward. And I want to do this before my opponent gets more looks at a Force of Will to protect Emery. Okay, and they did not have another island. Great for me. Dismembers and Ottawaras can be pretty annoying for me here. Go ahead and plus with Grist as a starting point. There's a Green Sun. I can fully take the pressure off of Grist by removing this. One attack here is perfectly reasonable. Alright, my opponent's at 13. My board is way better, but I don't think I'm going to win this game. Yeah. Opponent just has such good draws that swing this game, despite a huge portion of their deck being off between these two cards. I didn't want the Thought Monitor to go to graveyard so that it could be recycled by future Emerys. I guess a Shadow Spear can't get equipped right now, so Grist does a lot versus Construct tokens. Alright, that's a Dismember. Targeting me, apparently. Oh, Magic Online. I would say never change, but like actually please change. I think my opponent probably could have held back some other baubles playing towards this situation and had a couple extra Thopters. How bad was that? Very bad. That's a Kappa Cannoneer. I think I'm basically dead. I don't have a lights out card versus this deck. Like, I don't have a meltdown that just clears everything. I have to do it in a fair way, and like trying to 1-for-1 this opponent while they have a bunch of Thoughtcast effects in their deck is brutal. 100% of the time, I have to answer that Emery so that Kappa Cannoneer doesn't come back. That's the thing that just kills me the fastest. And I have Outland Liberator, which I probably just have to immediately use on Urza Saga, because those constructs are just too big to fight fairly. 3/3 attacker doesn't do anything, so I'm just passing the turn. I lose Grist this turn and start losing some life. I don't like this matchup, just based on what I'm seeing here. Okay, they are going to hold back a Thopter. It's reasonable in case I find a removal spell for Sai. They can still do a jump block and avoid 3 damage. Or 2 if I attack with multiple creatures. Wasteland does borderline nothing. I'll hold it for another Urza Saga rather than get rid of an Ancient Tomb that's probably not doing anything. If my opponent activates a Sai end of turn. Okay, what went away? Bobble Petal. Ugh. Yeah, the gap in deck power here is very apparent as this game is going on. I am trying to play too fair here, and I can't 1-for-1 my opponent forever. My opponent has drawn 4 additional cards this turn, and I just don't have the ability to do this. and I can't really keep the initiative and monarch stuff in my deck because my opponent can just do this. So some of my ways to normally get card advantage are just completely not viable. I think I always lose the game if my opponent draws another Force of Will effect. Questing Beast? You sideboard? Yeah. Attempt Questing Beast. Yeah. Yeah. I think now I'm just deterministically dead, right? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 in the air. Unseed. GG's. Okay. I think I keep this hand. This is really a 6-card hand where the Plague Engineer currently is not playable. That's what we're looking at here. This is Savannah Dryad Arbor into Thalia plus maybe Wasteland. No shuffle there. Alright, Grist is not what I'm looking for. That's going to be a secondary dead black card in my hand. I think this always has to be Savannah when I don't know what I'm playing against. I think I just have to jam Thalia. Turn 2. I don't know if I'm playing against Show and Tell. I don't know if I'm playing against a control deck yet. I've eliminated Icefang Coatl from my opponent's deck just because they're not playing regular Island. So my opponent tapped a white mana, was confused, and then passed their turn. I think they have a prismatic ending and are realizing that it can't hit my Dryad Arbor, which is a land. I wish I could play Grist this turn. Grist would be so good. Alright. So instead we'll do this. I don't think the 1 point of damage is worth attacking into Snapcaster Mage. I don't know exactly what my opponent's doing, but I feel weird about that attack. My double Wasteland hand is crap versus this. And goodbye, Thalia. Alright. Hello. More other Thalia. I don't have white or single black here. It is super unfortunate for me. Get my tree beats on. I'm pretty likely to lose this game if I can't deploy my remaining cards. Like, I have 3 dead cards based on mana costs right now. Okay, sure. My opponent has overpaid for those prismatic endings, by the way. You cast it for, like, say, a white, and then pay the tax with blue, and then you've paid 2 colors. I just kind of keep that in mind for things like prismatic ending, engineered explosives, that sort of stuff. And is absolutely terrible against what I am facing down on the other side of the table. Like, I don't have enough pressure, and I wasn't able to play either one of my snowballing sources of card advantage. My opponent's reaching the point of the game where they can just play something big and dumb that outclasses what I'm doing. Okay, they're just gonna plus and attempt to keep the Teferi alive. The Wastelandable land. That one isn't. Yep. Mana. Hell yeah. So that can get Scrubland, which is white, and first black. I think I go for Palace Jailer, leaving Dryad Arbor untapped, so that Dryad Arbor can attack in on Teferi. I think the difference between my opponent's 4 and 5 mana, or 5 and 6 mana, is minimal. Like, I could be wrong, but I think while I maintain the monarchy, my mana is more valuable casting the extra spells that I draw. Base is good. Ooh, it is a brainstorm over a bounce. Thought we might end up in a double bounce situation. I'm just keeping loyalty high. I think my opponent has Swords to Plowshares. About the only way this all makes sense. It's a weird turn. This Dryad Arbor is the deal breaker between me being able to cast 2 spells and not being able to cast 2 spells. But if I don't attempt to attack Jace with both, I can never possibly kill it. I guess I can leave up swords and hold the monarchy while also playing Grist. Attack Jace. Probably hit Jace for 1. Yep. This was expected. Base goes to 2. Drop this. I think I fetch preemptively to thin another land out of the deck. Grabbing Bayou. So that I'm never knocked off of a color. Alright, I forgot this thing can destroy planeswalkers. Alright. I'll sack Dryad Arbor. I think Jace is scarier. By being at lower loyalty. I am not going to wasteland until after I see what this card draw is. Given that it's another land, and I'm unlikely to double spell next turn now. I think I just take out that land. Alright. If I get the opportunity to fetch more lands, I will be starting to get basics. In case Blood Moon is something that I have to worry about in game 1. But it's not just minusing this to get card draws. Fiend Artisan. Don't mind if I do. Not the biggest Fiend Artisan in the world. I awkwardly cannot double spell since I wastelanded. I think I play Plague Engineer on human here. Oh wait, I can double spell. I'm just dumb. Alright, cast Plague Engineer. Put it on human. Maybe I don't double spell though. I just hold up Swords to Plowshares. I don't want to lose Monarch status. Some stupid shark token. Oh fuck, Teferi. God damn it. That was my error. It was just objectively a bad play. That's a very, very costly mistake. Yep. Okay, sure. So that's a handful of looks at a removal spell for this insect token. Did find the swords. Yeah, I lose Monarch because... Well, actually, I might lose Grist instead. Yeah, I lose Grist because I didn't Sorcery Speed play out Fiend Artisan. I might have punted the whole game on that. Take out the token. Drop a land. Play this on Samurai, right? Samurai. Make those smaller. Drop a Fiend Artisan. Yeah, I just kind of got in my own head. I need to take out this Narset so that my Monarch continues to do stuff. It shouldn't be that hard. It will be at 1 loyalty. Please use your Swords to Plowshares. Well, I wanted you to use it on the Plague Engineer so that I could like do some really cool questing beast shit and kill 3 planeswalkers at once. Okay, sure. Uh-huh. Yep. I've used Dryad Arbor, so this isn't a real land. Tap swords. Now, I in theory get to kill one of these 2 planeswalkers. Killing Narset lets me start drawing cards immediately. But I think I want to kill the thing that gives my opponent bodies. Okay, well, I attempted to play around that earlier. I think at this point I'm comfortable conceding this game. I guess I can wait a turn or 2 to see if I very specifically draw Questing Beast. That's about the only thing that gets me out of this. But my opponent is about to be the Monarch with a creature in play and 3 active Planeswalkers. Like, this is not happening. I think as soon as they have a single counterspell, I can't possibly win. Also possible that Days Undoing is in this deck, and that's another thing that I have to be aware of. But I need Questing Beast. Alright. This is a very big fucking moment here, folks. Please have nothing. I want this so bad. Uh-huh. Boo. Called my shot on everything. Okay. I think it's very bad that I lost game 1. I don't think I win this match after losing game 1. I think my opponent is just going to have very good cards to bring in, and I don't get much better. I have, like, some medium bodies that I can bring in. I'm probably going to generically bring in Knight of Autumn for nonsense enchantments that might happen. Electro Oof goes out for a second Grist. I probably board down a Swords or 2 for extra interaction. I think Outland Liberator becomes Knight of Autumn. Ramunap's not great. Ramunap Recurring Wasteland isn't doing things here. That's going to become either Plague Engineer or let me keep Outland Liberator. think it's Outland Liberator. Comes down a turn earlier. Oh my god. I don't throw it back, but holy shit, I will never beat Supreme Verdict. Okay, there is a really big choice on turn 1, and it's what mana dork to play. If I play Noble Hierarch, I have the ability to play a top deck Thalia or Esper Sentinel. But if I play Ignoble Hierarch, my opponent's first piece of removal doesn't take me off of white for the long term. So I believe it is correct to play this one. I'm not in love with my hand, even though my opponent mulled to 5. Like, the initial Swords to Plowshares is real rough. Hoping to dodge that. Okay, or just draw another land. Drawing another land is great. So let's play an Ignoble Hierarch. I want to take the Dryad Arbor out of the deck right now. I don't think so. I think I want these Green Suns to be real cards rather than mana acceleration. And Questing Beast gets to start swinging for 6 next turn. I think that is just what I want to do. I don't know. Questing Beast is so valuable. Maybe I don't let that get Force of Willed. Maybe I tap my mana like this. Just attack for 2. Start getting some chip damage in. And save Questing Beast as a surprise for later. Opponent's at 18. I will never, ever beat Terminus or Supreme Verdict. But hopefully we do some cool shit. Snapcaster Swords. Sure, that's fine. My opponent gonna go for my Knight, or are they gonna go for a Mana Dork? I legitimately don't know. Okay, sure. The Knight's, like, not that good in this matchup. If I Green Sun for 3, I get Grist. I think I just kind of sandbag this Questing Beast. Again, I have exactly one of this effect. I don't want it to get forced or otherwise disrupted. I think I just plus start working on my graveyard for Knights and Fiend Artisans. And the more resources my opponent throws at Grist and Insect tokens, the better chance my Questing Beast has at absolutely obliterating my opponent. Yeah. I will trade a Planeswalker Plus for that. Absolutely. That's an interesting draw. I think I plus. Sure. I'll attack with Noble Hierarch and hold up Opposition Agent. Won't even be like something that's suspected from my opponent because it just looks like I'm making a perfectly normal Exalted attack here. I can keep them off of red mana. Yep. A little punishing. Just let him fetch. Let him fetch. Like, I don't love it. I don't think I can hold that mana up. Oh. Cool. Cool. Let's fetch. Probably Bayou. Probably time to spread out the bodies. I can just take the initiative post-combat, actually. Attack for 5. My opponent goes to 9. Large Green Sun. Sure. Notably, the wording here is when an opponent is searching their library. Okay. I'm not sure if my opponent just punted this game by not fetching in response to Opposition Agent. Having seen Snapcaster Mage, I kind of want more copies of Endurance. It kind of seems like if I can take Initiative and hold it, or take Monarchy and hold it, I take over the game pretty easily. I might bring the extra Swords to Plowshares back in. Thalia and Esper Sentinel both become much more awkward on the draw. Opposition Agent is also very slow on the draw. Getting rid of this. If I bring Swords back in, Plague Engineer becomes less necessary. I know my opponent's not playing Ice Fangs. I haven't seen the bullshit enchantment yet, but I definitely think they exist. One answer enough? Probably not. Taking out either one of these makes it harder for me to double spell on turn 2 off either of these. I could cut a Knight. I could cut a Knight after bringing in extra copies of Endurance. My tutor targets aren't actually that good here. Just a big dumb creature. Yeah, this is perfectly fine. Which 1-drop I play on turn 1 is a little tough. I think if my opponent just passes with swords available, the answer is it's Esper Sentinel. I think that is what I am going to do. It funnels my opponent's mana in a direction that I like, and either draws me a card or makes it so that they don't have a good turn 2. Because the Noble Hierarch play is much more awkward. Sure. Ooh, I get a card. Yeah. Love that. No shuffle. And I will lose it to a removal spell. That's fine. I think this is a basic land. I still need to respect like Blood Moon and Back to Basics as things that can exist in my opponent's deck, even though I have not seen them yet. So let's play Thalia. And this knocks my opponent off of a 3-mana Planeswalker like Teferi for this next turn cycle. And on my next turn, I can Noble Hierarch into Fiend Artisan, or Noble Hierarch and Thalia, depending on what kind of happens over there. Other Prismatic Ending, other Prismatic Ending, that's fine. Ooh. Let's go ahead and play this. And then actually kind of put some pressure on my opponent's mana base. That's not really something I'm going to get to do in most of these games. Okay, yep, 2 mana Ponder is great. That was a fast shuffle. Endurance is cool. I probably don't have to play it immediately, though. Like, I think that can wait and be a flash creature on a future turn. And I have to play this one if I want to drop my totally awesome and incredibly good Fiend Artisan TM, my 1/1 attacker. In all seriousness, I'm going to convert that into something disgusting. Like, I'll have 5 mana, so I can just convert it into the initiative if I untap with it. Okay. Thalia has been taken out. Ooh. I just want the initiative, though, right? And I can play Esper Sentinel and sacrifice it next turn. Sacrifice Hierarch. Take the initiative. My other basic land out of my deck. I've already played a land. I'm not sure if I'm going on the left or right side. I guess it depends on when and how my opponent spends their mana. I'm much, much worse against Swords to Plowshares if I go down the left side, but it kills my opponent so much faster if I do so. I think I'm just going to go down the right side, though. That's fine. Swords I'll get rid of. Wrist I'll keep. Yeah. Still don't really need to worry about Snapcaster Mage. Yeah. Do this so I can leave up Swords. Plus this. Back for 4 damage. I've lost my Vigilance. Dress down, gets sacked. My opponent can't Supreme Verdict me out of this game immediately. Got Swords for any blockers they have. I have Grist for any Planeswalkers they have. I have Fiend Artisan to do disgusting things as well. So honestly, I might just shove all my creatures sideways rather than grind anymore with Fiend Artisan. Do as much damage as I can before a verdict could possibly happen. Alright. I will draw a card. Sure. Fiend Artisan goes out of play. Nothing here is really an issue as of right now. A stash. Make a land drop. This goes at you. This goes at you. That is not Medea Magica. Magic Online. That is Teferi. There is a difference. I know we look similar, but slightly different. So I can go ahead and... Actually, I can just hold up multiple instant speed endurances rather than play out Fiend Artisan, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, this leaves up double endurance plus Swords to Plowshares. That's probably better than tapping out for Fiend Artisan. Just better versus Supreme Verdict, which is one of the best things against me as of right now. Cold shot. Alright. Float 2 mana. Cast an Endurance. Nuke my opponent's graveyard. End of turn. I will thin my deck of a land. Find a Dryad Arbor. Play a new Endurance. And that's 6, 7 damage on board. My opponent took the time to send me a salty message, and then we end up positive in this league. Alright, that's it. That is the end of the league here. Overall thoughts on the deck list? Fine. Like, it it felt like a good solid deck. I would not be embarrassed to play this. I do think it feels a little slow. Like when things are going well for you, I think the deck looks really good, but there's a lot of combinations of cards that you can draw which together are pretty clunky, and like the Fiend Artisans are pretty bad early in the game, especially if your mana dorks are eaten. I don't think I would be playing this in a super serious tournament, but I think I would be very happy playing this in leagues or in FNM or something like this. I feel like this is a very well constructed deck list. I just don't know that I feel like I am playing the better deck. Like when I was playing against 8cast, for example, I was just absolutely getting buried in card advantage. And if my opponent had a more reasonable draw that had more lands in that previous game, like I might end up losing that one as well. Like I was so very scared of things like Supreme Verdict and Terminus throughout that entire match, and we got a little bit lucky to dodge them for the most part. I don't think I would make any changes to the deck list. Like some of the things like Deafening Silence and Gaia's Blessing in the sideboard, I mean Surgical as well, didn't do anything in this league, but that doesn't mean that I don't want them there. I like the things that I have access to. I just don't know that this is the right deck for me right now. Anyway, folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please click the like button on the way out. It helps out a lot. If you have any thoughts about the deck building, feel free to throw them in the comments down below. Have a great rest of the day. See ya.